Hi guys, today's story's called Suki's Kimono. Before I read it, I want to wish Nicholas a happy birthday. That's today for him, and we're so happy he's 7 and so thankful for him. And this story, I thought, kind of went along with our shoe poem this week because Suki in this book, she's going to be wearing a pair of gaitas, which are Japanese wooden clogs, and some other Japanese words we might hear in the story are kimono. This is what she's wearing, a Japanese robe with wide sleeves. Obe-chan, informal word for grandmother. Somen are the fine noodles that they eat, and taiko is a Japanese drum. So I just thought it was a good story to share about a different culture that we may not know a whole lot about. It's written by Sherry Ugaka, illustrated by Stephanie Jorish. As we're reading, I want you to think about these couple questions. Why do the children stare at Suki and laugh at her kimono? Why do Suki's sisters pretend they don't know her? And how did the children's feelings change after they watched Suki dance? So think about those things as we listen to the story. On the first day of school, Suki wanted to wear her kimono. Her sisters did not approve. "You can't wear that," said Mari. "People will think you're weird." "You can't wear that," said Yumi. "Everyone will laugh and no one will play with you. You need something new, Suki. You need something cool." So here's Suki, and here's her sisters. But Suki shook her head. She didn't care for new. She didn't care for cool. She wanted to wear her favorite thing. And her favorite thing was her kimono. Suki's Oba-chan had given her the kimono. The first time Suki wore it, her Oba-chan took her to a street festival where they slurped bowls of slippery, cold somen noodles and shared a cone of crunchy shaved ice topped with a sweet red bean sauce. Remember, her Oba-chan is her grandmother. Under strings of paper lanterns, Suki joined her Oba-chan in a circle dance. She followed her and copied her movements, trying to be as light and as graceful. She watched the other women and children who danced, especially those who were dressed in cotton kimonos like her. Later, Suki sat so close to the stage that when the taiko drums performed, bom, 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 bom. Whoa. Those are some drums. She felt like she'd swallowed a ball of thunder, and her whole insides quaked and quivered. Before they left the festival, Suki and her Oba-chan stopped at a souvenir stand. There were many things to choose from, but her Oba-chan found the prettiest thing of all, a handkerchief of pale pink linen, decorated with tiny maple leaves and cherry blossoms. When she gave it to Suki, she said, "This will help you remember our day." Now it was time for school. Mother checked Suki's obi one last time and took a picture of Mari, Yumi, and Suki together by the front steps. Then, as she watched, the three sisters made their way down the block to their school. Mari and Yumi stayed several places ahead of Suki and pretended they didn't know her. So an obi, what do you think that is? It said, "Mother checked Suki's obi one last time and took a picture of Mari." So if you're looking at Suki, what could an obi be? Do you see it? So it says it's that fancy sash, were you right? That they have tied around her kimono. That's pretty cool. But Suki didn't mind. She turned and waved to her mother before she clip-clopped along in her shiny red gaita. Remember, those are her wooden clogs. Feeling very pleased in her fan-patterned blue kimono. So look how she is looking as she's going to school. Once in a while, Suki would lift her arms and let the butterfly sleeves flutter in the breeze. It made her feel like she'd grown her own set of wings. When they reached the school, Mari and Yumi hurried across the yard to a group of their friends. Suki stopped and looked around. Some of the children turned and stared at her, and others giggled and pointed at her kimono. But Suki ignored them. She took a seat on a swing to wait for the bell. A girl dressed in overalls, just like a pair Suki had at home, sat on the swing beside her. "Hi, Suki," said the girl. "Hi, Penny," said Suki. "How come you're dressed so funny?" Penny asked. "Where did you get those shoes?" Suki lifted her feet off the sand and wiggled her toes. "I'm not dressed funny," she said. "My grandma gave me these shoes." Suki started pumping her legs. After a moment, Penny did the same, and soon they were both swinging as fast and as high as they could go. Swoosh, swoosh, up and up. When the bell rang, Suki and Penny jumped off their swings and ran to the gym for the first day's assembly. Once they were finally taken to their new classroom, Suki chose a desk near the window. Penny chose a desk just next to Suki. As they waited for everyone to find a seat, two boys in front of Suki turned and snickered behind their hands. One of the boys reached over and snatched at Suki's sleeve. "Look at this," he said. "She's a bat." Look at that boy sitting in front of her. So glad you guys didn't treat each other like that. You are an amazing class. Suki felt her cheeks burn, but she did not respond. Instead, she concentrated on sitting up straight and tall, the way her obachan always did. It was easy to do with an obi. Remember what an obi is? Her fancy golden sash wrapped snug around her middle. Her obi was golden yellow, and in its folds, Suki had tucked away her pale pink handkerchief. "Welcome to the first grade," said the teacher. "My name is Mrs. Paggio," she smiled. "Let's introduce ourselves and tell everyone what we did this summer." When it was her turn to speak, Suki stood up and told the teacher her name. "Hello, Suki," said Miss Paggio. "What did you do this summer?" "My grandma visited us," she said, straightening her sleeves. "She brought me my kimono and my geta." She raised her foot to show the teacher her wooden clog. Somewhere in the classroom, someone laughed, but Suki took a deep